Happy Family Day weekend, everybody. And of course, it's tied in with Valentine's Day. So it's been a wonderful long weekend. So before we get going, I want to wish everybody a happy Monday and the long weekend. So we are February the 17th, 2025. And so today we're going to get started on a really interesting topic. So we've recently started skiing and snowboarding. And so we've had, the privilege of being able to go to Cyprus and see more, and this weekend going to Big White. And so today's topic is going to be about some crappy deals in Big White. And if you don't know where Big White is, that's okay. It's in the interior of BC and about 5 hours drive from Vancouver. And this is something that came up because, when you go skiing or go do something that is of value or fun to your family, wherever you go, you're going to run into some real estate. And so with us this weekend going to Big White, I'm like, hey, you know what, let me go and look at some real estate in Big White and see if it even makes sense to buy here. Okay, so before we get into that, let me just welcome you to Money Matters. Okay, I am your host, Hung Lu, and we are going to look at Big White, specifically that area. And the reason for sharing some crap deals, as I would like to call these, is because at some point, if you look at enough crappy deals, you're going to know when a good one comes up. Okay. And that's the only way to know when a good opportunity comes in front of you is, you look at enough crappy deals, crappy opportunities where the numbers just don't make sense. And then finally one comes up and you're like, oh, this one's different. Right. And that's how you're going to know when you have a good deal in front of you. Okay. So let me get into some of this. So now I am going to be bashing Big White here in some of the real estate deals here. So of course, this is my opinion and it may not be suitable for you. Like you might look at this and be like, Hung, what are you talking about? That's a great opportunity. Okay, let me know. Reach out to me. This is the QR code for our breakthrough analysis, but it's also connected to our email system. Let me know where I'm wrong on this. Okay, I'd love to learn too. So that is the disclaimer that this might not be my advice might not be right for you. Okay. And so with it being family day weekend, part of why I do this is so that you can make the right choices for your family when it comes to real estate and have more family days all the time. Like don't just wait for this mid-February timeframe to have family day long weekend. If you structure your finances properly, you might have a lot more family days without worrying about the financial stress that comes with it. So that is what I'm hoping for everybody. Okay, so let's run through this so that I can get back to my family day weekend as well. All right, so let's run into this. Oh, we have a sponsor. So let me just share my screen with the sponsorship. Let's see, where did that sponsorship screen go? All right, let me bring up and we will get going with this sponsorship. So we are going into the share screen. So let me just refresh my screen here and we will go into the share. Okay, so it looks like I might be sharing. No, I'm not sharing. Sorry. So let me go into the share screen here. So we have a sponsor. So thank you very much to CHW Floor Wholesale. They are a locally owned wholesaler that specializes in flooring, molding, doors. They have over 35 years of seasoned contractors experience. So 35 years. So almost the same amount of time I've been alive. Okay, definitely longer than my kid been alive. And they are committed to providing high quality flooring and molding and doors, you name it, okay, at wholesale pricing. So for those of you who don't know what wholesale pricing means, it means that it's not retail, meaning that you're getting it, you're eliminating the retail middleman. Okay, so definitely a company worthwhile checking out if you're local to Vancouver, Burnaby, Surrey, Richmond area, Langley even. If you're in Big White, come to here and check us out. Okay, see what I'm talking about. All right, so thank you very much to CHW Flooring for being one of our sponsors. All right. Oh, and before I forget, we have a monthly mastermind coming up. So this is where we share a real estate strategy. Okay, so if you like what I'm talking about on these sessions, you may like to come to these monthly masterminds, connect with us, okay, and learn what we're talking about when it comes to real estate. We also have, what do you call it? A networking session, and we also have a challenge section. It's a 2-hour straight mastermind session. Okay, so come connect here. This is a great way to learn more about real estate if you're not already learning on a regular basis about real estate. So this one is coming up this week, this Friday. Okay, so here it is. So I will put that in the chat as well for those of you who are interested in attending. Okay, so let's do that. So that is that. So let's jump right into now to the Big White. Okay, and this is where I'm talking about crappy deals in Big White. And I do apologize. I'm going to be showing some listings in Big White. And I'm going to just apologize first off that if you are one of the listing agents for one of these properties that I'm not talking very highly about, I do apologize. There is no offense meant by presenting this. It's really just for educational purposes for real estate investors. Okay, I really don't know how else to go about not sharing the name, because once I show the properties, you know, whoever wants to will be able to find them. They're on realtor.ca. Okay, so let me share some of these opportunities here and we'll go through them one by one. Okay, so on the screen, you'll see a listing for this property. It looks really nice, like, you know, with the pool, with the, you know, a condo style apartment building in the back. This is in Big White. So what caught me on this was the $45,000 listing price. I was like, hey, you know what? If I can buy a place for $45,000 in Big White, of course I'm going to do it, right? That means we can go skiing for the winter season, maybe, you know, go biking. You know, it's what we like to do on our, you know, our hobbies and off time. And then while we're not there, we could rent it out, right? Okay, so even if it's 5 hours away, you know, it's manageable. Okay, so $45,000. Okay, this is where it gets really interesting, because if you go into the description of the property, so let me go down here a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to bring this up so that you can, oh, there, I lost it. Let me go up to the description here. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that you can see the description, because this is what really was like, this is a crap deal. Like I was like, what? Why would anybody ever consider buying this? And yet somebody did buy this, okay, because somebody owns this and somebody's now selling it. Okay, so the very first sentence, week 51 is Christmas week. Okay, so what that means is you're literally buying this condo for 1 week out of the year for $45,000. That's it. Okay, so it is, let's see, how big is this one anyways? It's a 2-bed condo. Okay, so maybe, okay, and then you're sharing the pool and all the amenities. Okay, that's fine. Okay, so but here's the thing: you're buying a condo for $45,000 for 1 week. Okay, and so, okay, one of the best times of the years. Okay, but here's the thing: if I own this place at Christmas, I'm going to want to be there to go skiing, okay, or snowboarding. Okay, and so that means for the rest of the year, I'm not allowed to be there because somebody else owns that week. Okay, so this is like a fractional ownership or co-sharing, however you want to use it. Okay, however you want to describe it. But you only have 1 week out of the entire year. And so that means if I'm not there skiing or using it during the Christmas week, I'm going to be renting it out. Okay, so that means for the rest of the year, I can't use it. Okay, and that 1 week is going to be rented out. Okay, so here's the idea here. Okay, well, maybe then we just buy it for $45,000 and we just go skiing every single time during that Christmas week. Okay, now here's the thing: now you're committed to spending Christmas week there every single year, which after a couple of years you might not want to. Okay, and so then you may not want to go skiing there, so then you may want to rent it out. Okay, well, here's the thing: Condo ownership comes with a couple of hiccups, okay? Because every single condo has maintenance fees. So as an owner of a condo, you have to pay maintenance fees. So that means I'm going to be having a share of whatever existing condos fees there are. Okay. The second notorious thing about having a condo is that there's special assessments. You cannot control when special assessments happen. And when there's a special assessment, you have to pay per square footage of your unit. So if you have fractional ownership of a condo and there's a special assessment, you're paying a portion of that. Okay. So it's only a portion, so it's not going to be the whole bill. Okay. But here's the thing. As an investor, I want to be able to leverage whatever opportunity this is. So because this is a fractional ownership, you can't leverage this for a mortgage. So that means I would have to have the 45,000 either from a like fully 100% cash or from my line of credit or from a credit card or from some other means. I would have to have 100% access to the $45,000. Okay. Now, if you don't, you could do maybe potentially a vendor take back, or you could do an agreement for sale. Okay, fine. There's other ways to do it, or a rent to own or something, but you cannot go to the bank. Okay. Usually you cannot go to the bank. Now, I know that Van City and some other of the institutions are allowing fractional ownership mortgages if it's a bigger opportunity or depending on the client allow for it. But usually you are not allowed to get a mortgage on this, okay? Because they won't give it to you. Because think of from the bank's point of view, when you default, how are they going to get this fractional ownership? It's like they can't sell it, right? They can't foreclose on you, okay? The banks are not in the market to foreclose on you, okay? So not only are you looking at potentially a special assessment at some point, okay, and this one was built in 1994, so it's getting up there in age, okay? And you cannot leverage this, okay? So on my other real estate properties, I'm able to refinance, pull out the equity, leverage, get a mortgage, do all that stuff, okay, which this one cannot do. So on that point about leveraging equity, okay, because you cannot leverage equity on this, you're missing the third greatest thing about real estate, which is pulling out equity completely tax free. Okay, you can't do that here, okay, because you can't pull out equity because you're not able to leverage it. Whereas on other real estate properties, if you refinance and you pull out that cash, that is 100% tax free. Like, talk about one of the hidden things in real estate. If you don't know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about this tax-free thing, reach out to me. Talk to your accountant. Okay, talk to other real estate investors. That is one of the great things about owning real estate, being able to access your equity tax-free. It is like post-tax dollars right in your pocket. Okay, then you take that money and you go and do other investments with it. It's super amazing. Okay, so completely getting sidetracked here. So let me show you a couple of calculations with this. But while I've got you on share screen, I want to show you some of the other things about Big White before we go into the Excel sheet. Okay, so I want to show you this because this was really interesting. So I was like, okay, so maybe doing a fractional ownership isn't the right thing, but maybe there are condos that we can buy 100% that we own on our own that, okay, maybe a condo setting that would work, right? Because here's the comparison. Whistler, about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Vancouver. So you got the whole population of Vancouver potentially going to Whistler. And Whistler now is not just like a high season winter skiing resort. It's got summer mountain biking, hiking. So it's a year-round destination for a lot of individuals. And so if you can own a facility in Whistler, ooh, you're doing pretty good. Okay, so I'm like, okay, well, maybe we can get something comparable in Big White at the fraction of the cost because people are from Vancouver are still willing to go to Big White. Okay, so here's an example of one that I came across, and there's tons. Like, and that's what really floored me. Like, one of the buildings I looked at, they had over 15 listings. in one building. And I was like, whoa, there's something wrong with that building. If there's like, that's a lot of units to be on the market at the same time. Okay. So just another due diligence point there is that when you're doing your due diligence, you want to see how many other units are for sale and why are all those units coming up for sale. Okay. Potentially a special assessment. Okay, so here's one. This is a one bedroom, 414 units, 414 square feet. So a pretty small unit, $200,000. Okay, so the reason why I want to show this to you is because if you go down in the listing, okay, and I'm not even going to stop at this description part because it doesn't matter. Because what I want to show you here is this sales history. In 2005, this unit sold for $105,000. Okay, so, no comparison point there because I'm just starting my market research on Big White here. So I don't know if that's a good price or not. Okay, so 2005, that's $105,000. In 2012, so a couple years later, 7 years later, it sold for $53,000. Okay, think about that. It went down in price. Like, what? Like, it depreciated. Okay, this is one of those things where if you are nervous about real estate because price is going down, this is an example of a price going down. And can it happen? Here we go. We're seeing something of where depreciation does happen. And this is significant. It's half the price. Okay, like it's not just maintaining it at zero appreciation. It is a complete drop. Okay. And if it was like around 08, 09, I could see that happening because that's when the economic crisis happened or the subprime thing happened. But this was 2012, right? So there something must have happened around 2012, 2013, 2014 maybe to explain this. Like maybe there was some sort of financial thing going on, like mortgage rates maybe. Okay, so whatever the reason is, something happened that made this unit drop in price. Okay, and I was like, what? How? Okay, but now look at this. But now they're selling it for $200,000. Okay, so what that means is, as an investor, you want to be able to hold on to your investment as long as you can, so that you don't have to sell when, whatever reason, the economy sucks and you have to sell at a loss. You do not want to be in that situation. Okay, if you bought this thing for 50,000 and you're trying to sell it now for 200, okay, you're doing pretty good. Even if you bought it, let's say in 05 and you bought it for 105 and now you're selling it 20 years later, okay, at least it's gone up. Okay, so that's the situation you want to be in. You want to buy at a certain price and then sell at a gain. Okay, you don't want to be selling at a loss. Like this is a horrible. Okay, so let me show you another one here where this is another condo unit, tons of condos there for $200,000. Okay, and now for 205, so comparable in price. So this one here, no appreciation. Look at that. Okay, now the time frame on this was short. It's only a 2-year difference, right? So this is basically showing that in 2 years from 105 to 2 years later, 105. Okay. And luckily this person held on to it. They didn't have to sell in 2012. They held on to it. And so they're going to see that full gain to the $200,000. Okay. So now what is this one here? So this one's a price up. Oh, this one's interesting. No idea how this happened here. Okay. But I'm looking at this going, what? Like, how is this possible? Okay. So this listing here, they started the listing at $169,000. And then all suddenly they decided to increase the price by $10,000. Okay. So obviously they started at a super low price, okay, and then went up by 10,000. And I was like, what? Like I've never seen this in my 25 odd years of real estate. Now, this isn't a comparable to the other ones because look at the unit size here, $225,000. Sorry, 225 square feet. Okay. So you're basically buying something half the square footage. Okay, so you have to look at the maintenance fees. You have to look at all of the accessibilities. You have to look at how close this one is to the hills from the other ones. Okay, so there's a bunch of other things. But what I'm talking, so the reason why I'm showing this is it went up by $10,000. Okay, so it's a hard pill to swallow when you're an investor trying to find wonderful opportunities. Okay, like what? Okay, so let me go into the Excel sheets. I totally got sidetracked here with all of these ones. Okay, so let me go into the Excel sheets because this is where the numbers really validate the opportunities in bigger numbers here. Okay, so you're going to see the Excel sheet. So I'm going to go back to the $45,000 one here. Okay. Okay, and so the reason why I'm doing this is so that you could see this. Okay, so that 1 week, that 1 week 50, the 1 week at Christmas time that I would be able to buy this wonderful condo at $45,000. If I take it and say, okay, you know what, there's 50 weeks, so that's 50 other owners. What they're doing is they're basically assessing this unit at $2 million. Okay, so basically I just took the 45,000 times 50 units, roughly, sorry, 50 weeks. It's going to give me $2.2 million. Okay, is this unit worth $2.2 million? No way. Okay, like talk about a crap deal. Okay, so now let's just say I could rent this unit out on the Christmases that I don't use it. And let's just say I get $3,000 a week. Okay, and this doesn't even include the maintenance fees or special assessments or my annual upkeep on top of the maintenance fees, okay? Or the property management or anything of that sort, legals and all that stuff. Yeah, furniture replacement, all that stuff, okay? I'm not including any of that. What I'm saying is roughly, let's just say I get $3,000 a week from that 1 week rental that I have available. Okay, it's going to take me 15 years just to break even on this $45,000. Okay, this is like a timeshare. This is a fractional ownership. This is a lifestyle purchase. It is not an investment. Okay, so I'm going to say that again. If you're into timeshare, if you want to do fractional ownership because you want to go to Big White to ski and to hike and to do mountain biking in the summer, this might be an opportunity for you. But as an investor, stay away from this. It is such an awful deal. Okay, it's going to take you 15 years just to break even. Okay, so if you have $45,000, go and put that into another investment as a down payment. Go buy something else that gives you the cash flow, that gives you $3,000 a year. So that then just go and rent Big White. Go to Whistler, go to another place. You don't have to be committed to going to Big White every year. Okay, take your $45,000, go buy another investment that gives you the cash flow without having fractional ownership. You have 100% ownership of a place somewhere else. Okay, now, if you're thinking, Hong, where am I going to buy a place for $45,000? Another session altogether. Okay, but that is something to just think about. Okay, let me go to the other calculation here. Oh, yeah, so I do have another calculation here. So this one here is a little bit more detailed because I want to show you what the appreciation would be on something like this. Okay, so I'm going to just make this bigger here. So, okay, so this one is that one where we were talking about where it went down in price and then it went up in price. Okay, so like that depreciation. Because I was like, okay, so we bought it at 105. It went down in price because that's what the listing is showing, and then it went up in price. So sort of like that, that valley, that lull, okay, which we hate as an investor. So I'm curious to find out, well, what is the actual appreciation on something like this? And if you're the person who purchased it, sorry, if you're the person who purchased it at 105 and sold it at 53, your scenario is going to be very different from the person who held it all the way through, didn't have to sell, and now selling it for 200,000, or even very different from the person who purchased it at 53,000 and now selling it for 200,000. Like that's huge. Okay, because if you're the person who bought it at 53 and sold and selling now, you're better off than the first person who, let's say, kept it through 2012 and didn't sell it, because your holding period is a lot shorter, right? So we're talking about a 13-year difference between this buyer B. I'm just going to put buyer B here, and this is buyer A. Okay. If you're buyer B, you had a shorter period of time to see this huger gain. Okay. If you're buyer A and you had to hold on for 20 odd years, your gain isn't as much. Okay. So even though you do have a gain, it's not as much as buyer B, right? Because you're over a 20-year time frame, as opposed to buyer B is over a 13-year time frame. Okay. And so where am I seeing all that? Okay. So this is coming from my calculation over here. Okay. So what I'm going to just show you very quickly on this is the compounding effect of appreciation over this. So if you were buyer A, owner A, and you kept it for 7 years, okay, so basically take year 2012 minus year 2005, that's 7 years, okay? The calculation on that is you saw a depreciation, almost 9.3% drop in your value. Okay, that sucks. Absolutely sucks. Now, to go from 2012 to 2013, if you were buyer B, you actually saw a gain of 10% on your unit, which is fantastic. Okay, appreciation of 10% on a condo. Okay, so very good. Okay, now if you were buyer A and you didn't sell it and you held it, at least you saw a 3% gain. Okay, so now I'm using the formula for compounding interest here. So it's a bit of a longer, so I'm not going to go through that. Okay, but if you just Google this CAGR, which is compound annual growth rate, you'll get that. You can use another Excel formula, but that was completely complicated. Like I didn't even understand it. And so I'm not even going to go through that. So what I would suggest is just go through the example on Google with compounding annual growth rate, and that totally works as well. What I find, which is even easier, is just break it down and just calculate it year over year. Okay, so the way you would do it year over year is you just say, okay, in 2025, I started with 105,000. I saw a gain of 3.27. So that means that year I saw $3.4 thousand. So at the end of the year, it's 108. And then second year, just compounding on that every single year. So at the end of 25 years, I get about my $200,000. Okay, so if you just do this is your compounding formula. It's the rule of 72. Okay, it's the exact same table. It's just compounding year over year. Okay, so the way I like to look at this as well is, well, what's my ROI? Okay, so I'm just going to do it for the buyer A who held on all the way through, did not sell it. And let's just say over the 20 years, what's their ROI? Okay, so the thing to keep in mind is when you calculate that, and the ROI calculation is really simple, is just what did you start minus what you sold it for, divided by your initial, the other way around. Your ending value minus your initial value divided by your initial investment amount. Okay, did I say all that right? Okay. So then once you have all that, that's going to give you your ROI for the entire time that you've held it. Okay. This is really important to understand that when you calculate this originally, it's for the whole time frame that you hold it. Okay. Because a lot of times people do this for other calculations, like for your stocks and mutual funds and all that stuff, and they take that whole time frame and they don't divide it by the number of years. And it's very, very misleading. So you want to take that total number. Okay, so the 200,000 minus my 105 divided by my 105, that's going to give me this $90,000. Sorry, this 90%. You take that 90 divided by the number of years I have, which is the 20 years. It's a 4.5% ROI. Okay, this does not include mortgage pay down, and it does not include any rental income. This is purely appreciation. Okay, so it's not a bad number for appreciation on ROI. The higher, the better, obviously. Okay. So in this case, you're looking at a 4.5% appreciation if you held on to it, did not 53,000 sale. Okay. If you held on to it over the 20 years. Okay. Now there's other things you could do with your money that you could see a higher percent ROI in appreciation. Yes, absolutely. There's other things that you could do that you can have a higher than 4% appreciation on your ROI. Absolutely. But in this case, if you wanted to go and enjoy a ski resort and have the benefits of having something there, definitely worth it in that sense. Okay, so you sort of need to balance that out. Okay, so let me see here. Did I go through all of my Excel sheets today? Yes, I went through all the Excel, went through our sponsor very much for CHW Flooring for sponsoring this special episode. And that is all I have for you, my lovely friends. So wishing all of you a wonderful family day, the last day of the long weekend. So please reach out to me. Let me know what you thought about today's session. Okay, everybody, thank you so very much for tuning in to another episode of Money Matters with your host, Hung Lu. Okay, thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.